Occupy. The Occupy movement, right? Remember him talking about how wonderful these people were, how he understood, you know, as they're defecating on the police cars, raping, drug dealing inside these things, holding up signs they can't even read for the most part because they're so hopped up on drugs. This is the president talking about how these people really were the American spirit, right? They're his spirit, true, but not American. The Occupy people, you know what they are? They're the residue. We're getting paid back really and truly for years of the feel-good movement in America, making everybody feel good. Self-esteem movement. Everybody's got to feel good about themselves, no matter how poorly they're doing in school or anything else. And so we told kids in every class for years, don't worry about, you can't spell your name, can you put this X here? Good, you'll be just fine. And you don't know what the Founding Fathers, you don't know anything about this, okay? We didn't teach you about it, we didn't expect you to know anything about it. And they go through life like this, being told they're perfect, everything's wonderful. And then they go to college and they borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars and take classes. How about degree programs in queer musicology? Queer musicology. Not a class, a degree program. I want to say Berkeley because it always comes to mind. But it wasn't that. There's another one. This was, I think, Georgetown. You know, reputable institutions of higher education. You get a degree in the psychology of Star Wars. Now, you know and I know, you've heard of hundreds of these stupid, idiotic degree programs and classes that they're taking, borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for it, right? And then coming out and going, all right, I'm ready to go to work with my new diploma in queer musicology. What? Nobody wants to hire me? Where's the Occupy people? You know, I'm going down there because the society owes me this. You know, no, this is all coming home to roost. This self-esteem movement and the lack of education in our schools. So let's get to some things we can do, okay? Because there really are. I think there are things. And of course, the election, of course. But beyond that, I would like you to think about this, okay? Take this on. I don't know if it's something, Howard, that the group can do, because I don't know what your bylaws state and all that sort of thing, but you see, I believe that we could start one little area, one little thing. This is not going to change the world overnight. But what if you went to a school board meeting? First of all, you try to elect the people who might be reflective of your point of view. And then but even the ones that aren't, I want you to present them with this resolution. You ask them, please, you know, I remember Oliver going up to this bowl of, you know, please, Morse, or that's how these people expect you to come to them, you know. Please, would you? I would like them to adopt the following resolution. Very simple. And it will state that every student graduating from their school system will be able to demonstrate, that word has got to be there, demonstrate an appreciation for Western civilization. One sentence. Really? And when they go, no, we don't think so, you say, really and truly, what a great battle is enjoined at that point. You are saying you do not want a child graduating from this public school system to be able to demonstrate their appreciation for Western civilization? Do you think it is not worthy? Do you think it's not an intellectual pursuit? How do you defend opposing that? They'll do it, but it is very difficult, very embarrassing. Put them to the test. Somewhere along the line, people will begin. I've got one district, gonna do it in Colorado, and I just proposed this a little bit ago, and I'm gonna propose it everywhere. We gotta start someplace. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you this is gonna revolutionize America or anything, and get it, but it will put us at least on the right track, one step at a time. That's what they've done to us. We can't stop, and we can do things locally that we may not be able to do nationally. You know, act locally, right? Yeah. Do it. And just put them on the defensive about how do you defend against doing that. Western civilization, it's good. Western civilization really did provide the world with some of the greatest benefits mankind has ever had offered to it. Let's start with the rule of law, a uniquely Western idea. The rule of law, not the rule of man. Something Obama would not understand. But we should. That one thing, if nothing else came out of this endeavor, to make people understand that this is not a country that one person can just simply make these kinds of decisions and laws and rules and by fiat accomplish it. No, there is a law under which we all have to live, even a president. And that's a Western idea. And Judeo-Christian principles are things to be emulated, appreciated, advanced. They are in fact, the foundation for who we are. And never should we be sorry about that. And yes, we have to stop Islamic immigration into the country. Now, people get mad at me because I don't say radical Islam. I say Islam. To understand, people must understand this, that there's two things here. There's Islam, the religion, the ideology, the political force. There's a Muslim. Don't have to be too, you know what I mean to say. You can have Muslims who are not committed to Sharia law. But if you are a committed Islamist, you are committed to Sharia law. And so Islam is a problem. Sharia and our Constitution do not mesh, can never mesh. Even though courts around this country are actually using it, allowing it to be used. It's got to stop. This has got to stop. You know, there's a famous philosopher at one point said, demography is destiny. Think about it. Demography is destiny. If that's the case, baby, we've got our work cut out for us. Because the birth rates in Europe, in Western civilization, the birthplace of Western civilization in Greece and Rome and in Italy and throughout Western Europe, the birth rates for natives in that country, for Italians in Greece, is less than replacement. It's like 1.3. I had the Greek ambassador in, and I said, what's going to happen here? I said, do you realize, Mr. Ambassador, 72 years you can plot this out. There will be no Greeks. I mean, really, 1.3, it can't get you there. It's the same thing that's happening all over Europe and in the United States, except for immigrant populations. Their birth rates are much higher. He said to me, well, you know, we're going to be bringing in a lot of immigrants. I said, no. You don't get it. There'll be no more Greeks. Something will happen as a result of this. There'll be a change, significant change. And he said to me, it's the good life. And I said, what do you mean it's the good life? He said, it's the good life. That's what's done this. He said, when people realized that not having that child, number one, was going to be easy to not have it. We can abort it or just prevent having it. And with that, we can get another car, bigger apartment. And when we lost any connection to our own morality, Judeo-Christian ethic. You combine that and you can see what the result is. Because believe me, when Lao Tzu says you need to know who your enemy is, there is something that he should have added. I add to it. You need to know who your enemy is. That's true. Who is your enemy? What makes them tick? But you need to know something else just as important, and that is, who are we? Who are we? The seminal question of our age. Because if we don't know, if we can't figure out what it means to be an American, if we don't have a common idea of what it means to be an American, I assure you, our opponents will assert theirs upon us. So your efforts in the election, absolutely necessary, but here's something everybody can do, and I happen to believe in the power of it, and that is when you bend a knee, look up in the sky, drive down the street and have some spiritual thought, whatever, if you will just say, "Dear Lord, please bless and protect America." I believe in the power of prayer, I do. And everybody can do it, and you know, everybody else, you feel so incompetent in many ways, I can't do this, I can't do that, how much change, but you can raise your voice in prayer. And you know what? When Billy Graham's daughter was on TV and she was asked by Larry King, he said, "So you believe God is responsible for everything, right?" And she said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "So God was responsible for 9/11? And she said, "Larry, you know, over the last 50 years, we have told God to get out of every single part of our life, out of our schools, out of our civic life, out of the public square, out of our law." She said, "And you know what? God is a gentleman. You tell him to go, he'll go. But I think, you ask him to come back, he'll come back."
At this point, we're going to begin the Q&A session. It's going to be a little shorter because we really get to what everybody has to say. But we'll be passing around the cards. And while we're doing that, you're getting your cards back to the ushers. We're going to present Mr. Tancredo with the certificate of appreciation, special recognition for the wonderful presentation he's given us tonight.
Just told me that I am not to give a second speech in reference to the first question. No, he really did. He didn't say that. He did. He thought it.
With your knowledge, how do you think election will come in November?
I'm sorry, how do I think what will be?
How the presidential elections will come out in November.
Well, I vacillate between, you know, one day thinking it'll be a landslide anti-Obama election, and the next day remembering that even though we focus on the economy constantly, FDR was reelected 3 times in a depression. Once you get enough people dependent upon the government, You never know what's going to happen. And in a normal election, I would say he's history. But I don't trust this guy. I would not be really surprised if there was something that happens that, who knows, an event causes a martial law. I just don't know anymore. I don't know anymore because so much has happened that you think would never have happened. So I'm not sure. On my good days, I think it's going to be like the election with Jimmy Carter. All the way up to the election, it was close. Reagan was actually behind with a week or so before the election, and then it was just this landslide. And our lips to God's ears, as they say.
Do you think that Obama will come up with an October surprise, an example that just gave martial law?
Yeah, I absolutely would not put it past it. Something, whether there's some sort of event, that even if he doesn't declare martial law, but it becomes a major crisis of some sort that appears as though we can't change horses in the middle of that stream, that type of thing. And I'll tell you another thing. I mean, right now they're looking, even when they look at the numbers, and if he doesn't have a majority, remember they're only looking at 11 states they have to win in, right? And they only have to win about 7 of those to go along with the Democrat states they know they're going to get because the electoral college system. So you just don't know, and I would not put anything past him.
Is there any indication that Romney recognizes this cultural problem, and if so, what is he doing about it?
No. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? Look, I know him a little bit. I mean, I was on the stage with him many, many times during the 2007 campaign. And here's what I believe him to be. A very nice guy. He has got really good family values. Okay, it is true. You can see it in him when you talk to him. I mean, I get that feeling that he is a good guy. He's a very smart businessman. End of story. You know what I mean? There's no philosophical. You can't go beyond that and say, well, and beside that, he's a, by gosh, darn good, strong, conservative Republic. No, he's not. He is this nice guy, good family value, and I'll take him. I'll take him in a heartbeat. But no, there is absolutely nothing I know that could tell me that he's tuned into this. I don't know.
Who would you recommend to be the VP and why?
Oh man. Alan West. Why? Tom Tancredo, oh yeah, right, okay, sure. Oh, I'm sure that would go over really well. Oh, I've got an idea.
He's articulate, that's for sure.
Oh, he's articulate. He knows what when he talks about Islam, he knows what he's talking about, and he understands the dangers we face. I told him, I saw him at about a year ago at something called Hold Their Feet to the Fire thing in Washington, and I was going past him, I said, you don't know me? I've been out of Washington, you don't know me, I know you. I said, I just want you to look at my face, look at this thing, it says Tom Tancredo, and recognize that on my website I have a Alan West for President bumper sticker I created. And so, it'd be the first one. I said, it'd be the first one ever. He goes, oh, you're killing me, you're killing me.
Will Sheriff Joe Arpaio be able to enforce Arizona law without the federales going after him, and why?
No. I mean, he's going to give it a darn good try. He's a great guy. I love him. He came all the way up to Colorado and worked on my campaign, and he's a great guy. But the forces arrayed against him are such that he'll be able to do some things, but not nearly what needs to be done there. No. Not unless Arizona is willing to secede, and if they did, I'd go down and join the barricade.
You made a good list of impeachable offenses. What are the Republicans in Congress, or any place for that matter, doing about them?
Nothing. Walter Jones. Walter Jones is from Louisiana, Mississippi. I'm going to say my great friend Walter Jones, I can't think of where he's from. Anyway, he did in fact introduce an impeachment resolution when the defense secretary came and made that statement about not asking Congress. But it's just one little, you know, I mean, like I say, we got this list this long, and nobody paid the slightest attention. And no, believe me, you go to John Boehner and tell him you want to have a bill, I mean, an impeachment bill sent to a committee. Yeah, right. Okay. No, they won't do it. And you know, afraid to do it, afraid of what they say. Well, you know, look what happened to us when we impeached Clinton. They lost all these seats and everything. Well, totally different thing, and as I keep saying to them, erase all of the political things you keep talking about. Is it the right thing to do? Has this guy committed, but you understand, it is up to the Congress to determine what a high crime and misdemeanor is under impeachment. Okay? There's no book to say, well, if they do this, it's a high crime and misdemeanor. No, it is totally up to the Congress. That's the way the founders wanted it, and they wanted to make it tough. They didn't want people impeached for a lot, but it is up to the Congress. And you say, are these things in your mind as a congressman, as a senator, are these things impeachable? And if they are, which I certainly believe they are, that's what you should do because it's the right thing to do. You let nature take its course after that.
How do we introduce Judeo-Christianity into our political social culture?
One of the ways is to say, every child graduating from a public school has to be able to demonstrate an appreciation for Western civilization, because you can't do that without understanding the importance of Judeo-Christian principles.
The response, though, from the Board of Education is always, well, we can't do that according to law, blah, blah, blah. So they always wash their hands.
I mean, I don't know what law there is against that yet. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I've just never heard it. And we've gotten there are districts that have done this, or at least are anticipating it. I just started this a little bit ago. So, and I can't tell you that we're going to, and I know California, I know all the problems, but just one little thing I'm asking you to think about, because with it solves a whole bunch of problems if we actually get this done. And it has to be that they must demonstrate. Not just, you know, that they'll be taught an appreciation. No. They have to demonstrate an appreciation of Western civilization.
Any chances for the fair tax, and what are your thoughts on it?
I don't think so. I support it. I've supported the fair tax. I supported the flat tax. I mean, you believe me, anything but what we've got, and in terms of this monstrous, quote, graduated income tax. Here's one of the biggest problems you face trying to throw it out. I mean, there's now so many built-in constituencies to keep it. It's a way of everything. Once you do it, that's why Obamacare is so frightening. Once it's there, all of a sudden you have massive AARP will make hundreds of millions of dollars off of it. And so they will be pumping out literature right and left. And once people get this idea that it is free, it's so hard to reverse this. And so, unfortunately, reversing the tax system, and also remember this, one reason why that's a frightening thing to most of the liberals well, probably most congressmen, you see, one great way of controlling you is by being able to reward you for doing what we think is right and punishing you for doing what we think is wrong. And we do that with the tax code. We give you a tax credit because we want you to behave this way. And we increase your taxes on this when we want you to behave that way. It's a very powerful thing the government has to control your behavior. But because we're only right, it's only good. I understand, you don't. I'm smarter. And you know, you'll just go off making stupid decisions about how to spend your own money if we let you. And so we can't have that, can we? So trying to get them to move off of that, almost impossible.
Do you think Romney will clamp down hard on illegal immigration?
No way.
You know, I really don't know. I have to tell you, When I left the campaign in 2007, I mean, really, you guys, I was in presidential primary for one reason. I never thought for a millisecond I was going to be president, okay? Never, no. I remember begging Pat Buchanan, I kept saying, Pat, please run again, please, you can do it, I can't. I'm this little Italian guy from North Denver, who the hell knows who I am, and what do I care about it? You know, why should anybody care I'm running for president on one issue? And oh, you guys, okay, I know you're getting mad, but this is going to go a little bit longer on the answer here. I'm on the first stage, right? And presidential primary, out here, Reagan Library. I'm scared to death. I mean, I am, I'm petrified. I'm going to be on the stage, all these guys, this is, you know, national, and I only, and so we prepped for weeks because my only purpose of running was to indeed talk about illegal immigration, get them to talk about illegal immigration. That was it. I mean, I had no other, honestly, that was it, right? I'd done everything I could do in Congress, I felt. Now, what else, you know, run for president, sure. But, so, I'm on the stage and practice every day, ask a question, and you know, like I told you, the Clinton campaign had to answer everything in terms of the economy. I had to answer everything in terms of illegal immigration. Everything. I don't care what anybody said. Illegal immigration, illegal immigration, illegal immigration. Okay, yes, okay, I can do that. Education, no problem. Oh, healthcare, no problem, easy. You know, prisons, no problem. You know what I mean? I'm going through every question. I'm on the stage, I'm just shaking like a leaf. Oh my goodness. And I'm on the end, of course, you know, potted plant. And Duncan Hunter, I think he was on the other side. And I'm thinking, oh God, illegal immigration. And I get no questions. There's nobody asking anything. It's all going, you know, I always say to the tall guys with good hair, you know, they're in the middle. And then Rudy Giuliani got in. I couldn't say that anymore, but so he, I mean, we weren't getting any questions because we were in the stars. Nobody cared about what we had to say. So all of 40 minutes into it, Chris Matthews, who had a tingle up his leg, remember? Chris Matthews is the moderator, and he says, and we have a question for Congressman Tancredo. I go, whoa! Okay, illegal immigration. Congressman, he says, I'm sure this is on YouTube someplace, right? Congressman, he says, question for you is, if you are President of the United States, what are you going to do to increase organ donors? I'm thinking, illegal immigration, but I did not go there. And I said, what? What did you say? Organ donors? Make a market out of it? Oh God, it was so embarrassing. I just died because my entry onto the screen was, what? What did you just say? Organ donors. So I had a long talk with him before I left the campaign, that is Romney. Because who did I have left? I had McCain and Huckabee. Not really good choices, okay? Especially on my issue, especially on this issue. McCain was the worst, absolutely the worst. Terrible, oh my God. I can't begin to tell you how many times oh jeez. Oh, another little story. Again, we're on the stage and it's my first meeting with McCain, I'm on the, they do this thing when I did not win with 55% my first election. So they do this thing where they go out to the big wig Republicans and say, here are some of the people on our vulnerable list. You got to go out and help them raise money. They did not win by their first election 55%. Somebody went to McCain, somebody on his staff picked me because it was Arizona, Colorado, close enough. They thought, I had not met him before in my life. I mean, I knew who he was, but I'm in the Congress about a week. I'm over on the Senate side. I'm waiting for the elevator. He comes, the elevator door opens. John McCain and his staff guy. And these elevators in that bank, they're little tiny. They're about as big as this thing. They're very uncomfortable because you get close in on them. You're in somebody's personal space immediately. And so I get in and I say, hello, Senator. Yeah, I said, I'm Tom Tancredo. I just want to tell you, thanks for coming out I understand you're doing a fundraiser for me. He goes, looks at the kid, and the kid says, yeah, you are. And he said, okay. Kid says to me, how are you going to vote on McCain-Feingold? I said, oh, I'm voting no. I think it's a terrible bill. Boom! It was like an M80 went off inside his head. He starts screaming at me. Remember, we're in this little confined. What makes you think I'd come across the street for you? I wouldn't come, and I'm going, wow, what has, and so I turn immediately into my 9th grade playground mode. I go, whoa, yeah? I don't want, I said, you know what? I said, I don't want you to come I don't want you in my district. Nobody told me that this was some quid pro quo for a piece of crap bill like this. I said, I wouldn't vote for it no matter what you told me. We're still screaming at each other. We get to the next floor, the door opens. All these people have moved back. We get off and we're going, oh, hi, happy to Tom Tancredo, John McCain. That was my introduction. First time I met him, right? And my relationship went downhill from there. And we get on. We're in the again. I know this is on YouTube because people have told me about it. Okay, first question goes to McCain. It was another. We were out here again. I'm almost sure. Question goes to McCain. It was. All right, 3 bombs have just gone off. 4th one is about to, and it's the big one. And we know who's going to do. We have somebody in custody. We think they know who's going to do it and where it's going to go off. Islamic terrorists. And he says, so would you waterboard? Senator McCain, absolutely not. I would never do it. It's not American. It's not blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a guy who's been tortured. I mean, what are you going to say to a guy who's gone through it? I wasn't in the service. I can't, and so you're deferential to him, right? And he says, this is impossible. No way. Can't happen. We're not American. And then he says, and by the way, he says, you can't get good information that way. Now, I'm on the land, and this is one of the questions we all have to answer. So I'm thinking, what am I going to say? Because everybody else is going, absolutely. If McCain says, oh, no, can't do it, not American, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, he said that you can't get good information, but he gave good information under torture. Remember, he put it in his place, and I'm sorry, I have to say one of the worst things that I told him. So, and believe me, it's not as if I'm, this great hero. If they opened the door to my cell, I'd probably start yelling out names. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that I am this incredible hero or anything like that. I'm just listening to him say, you can't get good information. And I know that's not true because he gave good information. So it gets to me, and I said, let me get this straight. 3 bombs have gone off? Yeah. The 4th one's about, yeah. And you're asking me if I waterboard. I said, waterboard? Hell, I'm looking for Jack Bauer. Now, there is this tittering out in the audience. Some people knew what I was talking about. 24, I shoot you in the knee from, give me some information. Boom, boom. And 2 times subsequent to that, we're on the stage, being asked a question. Senator McCain, how do you feel about education policy? Well, he said, I could answer flippantly that I'd get Jack Bauer to handle it. Very thin skin, this guy. Very thin skin. And especially on the issues. So, as I say, on immigration, he was just horrible. And so he was never going to be my candidate. And so, who did I have? I mean, Huckabee had already thinked out on immigration. So there was, There was Romney. I went in, we had a 2-hour conversation. Every question I could think of, every way I could trap him, he was good. He was very good, but he knew what I wanted. And you know, I had that feeling that it was all scripted. I can't tell you I had the feeling once it was coming from his heart. So, the question is, who knows where he'll be? Wow. Okay, we'll take one more. It's his fault. It's his fault.
How can we change the law so that babies of illegal aliens are not U.S. citizens?
Yeah, great. And they're not, they shouldn't be. And one way to do it is to get some state, any state, to actually say they want to just simply get a count of the number of illegal immigrants in their classrooms. You know, this will start a process that will end up in the Supreme Court. We need, if we had a Supreme Court that was, is because, I mean, really and truly, even if you look at the original Supreme Court case, what they said was, Texas, I'm sorry, they're talking about that as kids, but there is absolutely, the only Supreme Court case that was ever tested was about a Chinese immigrant and whether or not his children would be able to vote. And the court said, yes, they would. But there was a big, big, big difference. The Chinese immigrant was legal. And so you can't, if they go back at it, and they go back and look at it, they will see that there is absolutely nothing in that original decision. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the 14th Amendment and all of the discussion about it, you will see that there's nothing in there about making the children of illegal immigrants citizens. In fact, we don't do it. I mean, if you're born here and your parents are not residents of the United States, you aren't an immediate citizen, or else every single person who was born to an ambassador or people traveling through or whatever. But we don't do that. We only do it if they're here illegally. Crazy. And if it goes to the Supreme Court, we got a chance. And so any state, it has to start somewhere. Some state, ain't going to be California, but some state that can start this process and get it to a Supreme Court. That's about the only thing I can think of. It's not going to happen in Congress, but it could happen at the Supreme Court. Maybe. Okay. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Really appreciate it.